So, here is the main news of the day. Blizzard Entertainment has acquired Spellbreak development studio Proletariat Inc. Now, here's the thing. I love that name already. I love the name. But also has some weird vibes about it, doesn't it, really? And it's kind of, they've set themselves up for the weird vibes with that name. But it's almost like Blizz were looking around. They're like, okay, we need some people we can really exploit. Aha! These guys seem perfect. These guys seem like they'll be really up for being exploited. For some reason. I joke. As reported by VentureBeat, the 100-person studio is being absorbed into Blizzard specifically, and this is why it's an interesting story, to bolster the World of Warcraft development team. Here is the VentureBeat article. Let's go straight there. Blizzard Entertainment says it plans to acquire Spellbreak maker Proletariat to beef up the staff on its massively multiplayer online role-playing game World of Warcraft. Under the deal, Boston-based Proletariat will become part of Blizzard, and its team of 100 people will begin working on World of Warcraft, including the Dragonflight expansion coming later this year. Spellbreak, a battle royale game where wizards and witches cast spells at each other, will be sunset. Which means deaded. Which means no more. I remember watching people streaming the Spellbreak beta, or, PTR or whatever, before it came out. So I do remember Spellbreak. We're going to have a little look at Spellbreak in a sec. The move is the biggest acquisition that Blizzard has made, at least for the past decade, to expand its studios. In this case, the mission is to beef up the staffing for World of Warcraft so it can hit quality and timing goals for expansions. To which I say, thank fuck. And about fucking time. I mean, yes. Thanks. Thank you for that. Good idea. Seriously, good idea, though. Good thinking. Now, here's the thing. When it comes to devs, even before this acquisition, the WoW dev team is like a bigger than it's ever been. And, over the years, we've had kind of stories of people, massive rounds of sackings and redundancies at Blizz. That has never touched the Blizz team, the dev team. Dev numbers have only ever gone up. So all of these big rounds of sackings and firings and what have you, they've never decreased the amount of devs. When all those rounds of sackings have been happening, actually, the dev team has always been hiring and has always been getting bigger. Now, there is a very important caveat to that, and that caveat is that Blizzard do not consider QA staff as devs. So QA has been gutted, demolished, annihilated from that massive space laser from Akira. The really important thing is that they don't consider QA to be devs. And that department has been destroyed. I think that's definitely something they should look to increasing. I don't think it is something they will ever look to increasing because they don't consider them devs, which is a real wrong-headed take in my opinion, but there we go. So when I say dev team, I mean everyone except QA. The Spellbreak devs won't make a huge difference to launch, no, but I suspect it will help with patch cadence. I guess that's the idea, right? Yeah, exactly. So they haven't yet bought Proletariat. It sounds like it's a done deal, but it hasn't actually gone through yet. What does QA do? Test everything and iron out bugs, identify and iron out bugs and problems and things like that. Quality assurance. So Blizz is increasing QA. Is that a fact, Wolfsbane? I mean, that would be superb news. That would be some of the best news. Yeah, do that. More QA. Obviously if we had like a really big proper QA department, there's even the chance you wouldn't have that much stuff on the PTR. Which would be perfect if it was also combined with really good patch cadence. And, I've always identified WoW's patch cadence as being its biggest weakness in the last two expansions. I think most people would agree BFA and Shadowlands have not gone down as well as anyone would have hoped. Even if you really liked those expansions, and for the most part I have liked them, I think they have been disappointing to most people, and I think patch cadence has had maybe more to do with that than anything. Like I genuinely think 9.0, the first patch of Shadowlands, as Shadowlands was at launch, was a really good opening to an expansion. There was loads to do at Endgame when you got there. The leveling story was great. You know, legendaries were good fun when you were first starting them and stuff like that. And there wasn't the things that people got annoyed with 9.0 happened mostly, in my opinion, because the patch was far too long. After 2 months, it was old. Yeah, after 2 months, it was old. But you know what 2 months is longer than? The 6 weeks that it took to go from Legion 7.0 to Legion 7.1. Maybe Legion 7.0 would have got old after 2 months. We're never going to know because it never got to 2 months old. And that's kind of the point, right? Don't forget, 7.1 launched 6 weeks after 7.0. 72 days per patch in Legion. No, there was 72 days between pre-patch and 7.1 in Legion. Like, from launch to 7.1, 6 weeks. Simple as that. The 11-week thing does match up, because it went from pre-patch to 7.1 was 11 weeks. And then 7.1 to 7.2 was 11 weeks. 7.15 even. And that's the thing, yeah. If 7.0, if Legion's opening patch had lasted as long as Shadowlands' opening patch, I can guarantee you people would not look back on Legion so fondly either. What, how long was Shadowlands pre-patch? Opening patch? 7 months. Imagine 7.0 being there for 7 months. Imagine 7 months of 7.0, of Emerald Nightmare, of Legion Legendaries being completely fucked, of like everything else that needed fixing, not getting fixed. People would fucking hate Legion as well. So it's not so much indicative of the content. Patch cadence is content. It's so important because you can have the best content in the world, but if it has to last 3 times longer than it possibly could, you're never going to remember it as good content. Rather, the player base as a whole wouldn't. So I think that's really important. And I've often identified, in my opinion, patch cadence as being WoW's biggest weakness throughout BFA and Shadowlands, for sure. Shadowlands was too slow, but expecting Legion patch cadence ever again is unrealistic. Well, that is a real shame, because 11 weeks is such a fucking sweet spot. 11 weeks is such a sweet spot for patches. As I think Legion proved. Always felt good. And even then, there were patches that felt too long, even at 11 weeks. 7.2 felt too long. It was only 11 weeks. 7.2 was not a good patch, but it was only there for 11 weeks, so give a shit. And then you had 7.25, which was great. And here's the thing. If Blizzard are ever going to get that kind of cadence back again, then what it basically needs is manpower. It needs manpower. It needs devs. And that's why this is such good news for WoW. Activision Blizzard, the parent company of Blizzard, also folded Vicarious Visions, a longtime Activision studio, into Blizzard to work on the Diablo franchise. But Blizzard hasn't been particularly acquisitive, as one of the few we can remember was the acquisition of Swinging Ape in 2005. Manpower or woman power? That's really interesting you say that, actually, because actually in the early days of computing, when it was thought of as not being a very good job, all original coders and programmers in the original computers were women, to the extent that IBM used to measure their productivity in woman power, because like no men did the job, because it was seen as being, you know, not like computers were kind of looked down on and not seen as this big thing. And like all programmers and coders were women. IBM literally used to measure it in woman power, like projects and how long things were going to take and what have you. This idea of programming and coding being like a male thing only occurred when they realized how important it was. And they were like, oh, wait, this is a good job. Men should be doing this job. Yeah, and a lot of it was done by women of color as well. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, totally. Especially in the States. But a lot of the early computing was done in the UK and it was all women. This whole idea of, oh, women don't choose to work in coding. It's like women were the original coders. They were the original programmers and we pushed them out and made it a man job because we realized it was actually quite an important job. Like, it's such bullshit. This kind of narrative of like, oh, women just don't like to go into jobs like coding, and you know, it's just against their kind of natural sort of characteristics and things like that. It's absolute bullshit. It's just like another thing that women did because men didn't want to do it because they didn't think it was very important. And then we realized that it was quite important, so men did it and women had to fuck off. I've studied computer science. I started over 10 years ago. There were 5 women. Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. And then it became a very male-dominated space because it was important. So women weren't allowed to work in it anymore. And this idea, women are not naturally tailored for logical jobs. Yeah, except they definitely were. Yeah, it's fucking nuts. Absolutely nuts. Oh, was that voice? Did that voice sound like Jordan Peterson? Oh, I wouldn't know. I've never heard him talk. Anyway, this is very good news for Blizzard. If only because, like, you literally have just increased your man-woman power, your person power, your dev power by 100. And I think there's meant to be like 126 devs working on WoW right now. My understanding is, and I've got this number in my head, so correct me if I'm wrong, right? My understanding is that there's 126 devs currently on Team 2. So this almost doubles the amount of devs on Team 2, which is the team that make WoW. Is that correct? Are my numbers right? Proletariat has been working with Blizzard since May. That's very interesting. Oh, 250 plus? That could make sense too. For some reason, I always thought it was 126. I will believe that it's 250. I'll believe that it's 250. I don't mind. But even so, that's still a massive increase. Even like the upper, I still think it's 126, but I'm going to believe that it's 250 as an upper estimate. That's still a massive, massive increase. It's huge. 100 new devs is massive. Oh wait, I get to do a Mike Ybarra impression? Oh shit! I get to do a Mike Ybarra impression? Fucking right. Hi guys, it's Mike Ybarra here. I'm just taking some time out from running a +33 with my homies to tell you about our new acquisition. We are putting players at the forefront of... Oh, wait. Hi guys, Mike Ybarra here. We are putting players at the forefront of everything we do, and we are working hard to both meet and exceed their expectations. A critical part of taking care of players is bringing them to orgasm, which I can do just by looking at them. But also is taking care of our teams, making sure we have the resources to produce experiences our communities will love. Oh, wait. While giving our teams space to explore even more creative opportunities within their bodies, their projects. Proletariat is a perfect fit for supporting Blizzard's mission in bringing high-quality content to our players more often. I'm not on my Keystone mount, but apart from that, I think that was a pretty good impression, right? You're not hot enough to be Ybarra? Well, no one is. Not even Ybarra is hot enough to be Ybarra. It's an awkward time for Blizzard to do this, as its parent, Activision Blizzard, is in the process of being acquired by Microsoft, and Blizzard Entertainment has been the primary division under investigation by the California Department of Fair Employment and Housing. Hey, dudes, I've worked out how we're going to solve this big law case that the state of California is bringing against us for all the harassment. We're going to buy a game studio based in Boston. What are you going to do, state of California? What are you going to do? These dudes live in Boston, bitches. Yeah, anyway, dealing with past challenges, John Haidt, general manager of World of Warcraft at Blizzard, said in an interview with GamesBeat it was challenging to support Shadowlands last year, and he acknowledged that no shit. And he acknowledged that sizable gaps occurred between WoW content updates. Fans always wanted more, and while the team has continued to increase in size, it has been hard hiring. I asked Seth Sivak, CEO of Proletariat, if the company hesitated on the deal because of Blizzard's weakening reputation. I mentioned the sexual discrimination investigation. So I'm sure that Seth Sivak, the CEO of the company that has just been sold to Blizzard, is going to be like, nah, Blizzard suck, fuck them. I'm pretty sure that Seth Sivak, CEO of the company that's just been acquired by Blizzard for however, like this man who's probably become a multi-millionaire on the back of this deal, I'm pretty sure he's going to be like, yeah, nah, Blizz, problem. They're a problem. Fuck those guys. Hate them. Yeah, you're right. They're a waning force. We had a very kind and open and transparent conversation about this, Sivak said, and I think Blizzard team recognized some of the challenges they've had. In some of the earliest conversations, we discussed just how they were looking to continue to improve the culture and continue to make great place for developers to work. He added that was encouraging. Obviously, there's a lot of work to be done to continue to make the an awesome place for, loves using the word awesome, place for developers to work, but we were pretty happy and satisfied with the direction the teams are going. There you go! Seth Sivak's happy, I'm happy, and those snowflakes in the California division of housing and employment should be happy as well. Facts. Yeah, like, there's a very high percentage chance, honestly, that Bobby Kotick wrote that, by the way. If there's one thing we know, it's that Bobby Kotick loves writing fucking statements for people and getting them to read them and say that they're from other people. Facts. Is this the dude? Is this Seth? Seth! My man! Wait, who does Seth look like? Seth looks like someone, I can't quite put my finger on it. Who does Seth Sivak look like? He's like half Adrian Brody, Martin Shkreli. Is that the guy that bought all of the, insulin? Yeah, he's Farmer Bro. He does look like he does look like him. Yeah, he is half Adrian Brody, half Farmer Bro. Yeah, he's like the missing link between those two people. As you're probably aware, folks in World of Warcraft have a voracious appetite for content, said Height. I mean, that's true. And what we've seen over the last year is that we need to increase the amount of content that we can create. This is really great to hear, honestly. Like, all joking aside, John Height is saying the right stuff here. Like, I'm really, really glad to hear John Height saying this. Like, legitimately. All joking aside, I'm incredibly glad to hear him acknowledge this. First, to acknowledge that, there was a problem with patch cadence and content pipeline in Shadowlands. And BFA, in my opinion. But more than that, there's already stuff in place, and they're making genuine moves to make that rollout happen faster. It's also different when he says it versus Ian, because he simply has more power. I completely agree. I hope we won't get regular content at the price of quality. Well, I think, if that's what you want to achieve, more regular content without kind of skipping the quality, then you're going to need more people, right? And I think whether there is 126 people on Team 2 or 250, at the very least, you're increasing the team by a quarter here, which is massive. Massive. Everything John Height does is voracious. John Height has a voracious appetite for life, but mostly for weed. But also just for life and for everything else. Do you think any of these new devs play Mistweaver Monk? No. Toward the end of last year, the company started looking for other opportunities besides hiring more people at its internal studio. It searched for external partners, and Proletariat was on the shortlist as it was a well-known game studio. My first conversation with Seth was back in December, Height said. I was really impressed with him. And then the team felt like he had a lot of shared values and had a lot of knowledge of World of Warcraft. The team had the ability to do stylized art, which we do, and work within medieval fantasy, which we love. And they had a lot of fans. So from there, our discussions ensued. Sivak said the company was also looking for what to do next. He said the team saw the opportunity to evolve as a studio and work on World of Warcraft would fulfill the mission of delivering great multiplayer games. They started talking more seriously in the past couple of months. The opportunity to expand the World of Warcraft... Now I've seen him, I know what he sounds like. The opportunity to expand the world of Azeroth for the players got us really excited. So here's the thing, right? I know a lot of... I've seen a lot of reaction to this online. And most of them are pretty kind of down on it, as in, they mock it quite a bit. And they think it's probably like a bad move, honestly, from Proletariat Studios to kind of connect themselves to Blizzard. Oh, a lot of these comments are much nicer than I remember now, actually. When I first read this thread, a lot of the responses were like really worried and not thinking it was a good idea. Interesting. It's quite... Pretty funny naming the company Proletariat, the working class, and then getting bought by Activision, which hates workers' unions. Well, Activision does hate workers' unions, yeah, but it's also like the most progressive AAA American game studio when it comes to unions. You're right, they do hate unions, but also just by way of the fact that they have one. Granted, it's just with Raven, but still, they are literally, it's fair to call them the most progressive, like, American AAA game studio when it comes to unionization. And isn't that fucking wild? Isn't that wild? Blizzard kills the game in order to recover from the fact that they laid off hundreds years prior. Yeah, not devs, though. What I learn every time I'm online is that not enough people watch the weekly reset. I think it's fantastic news for World of Warcraft, which is basically all I care about. The fact that this studio is, that WoW, specifically World of Warcraft, has just loads of more devs working on them now. And the majority of them is going to be on assets, I'd imagine. You know? The majority of these devs are going to be literally building things, I think. You know, a lot has been made of, you know, their design and, you know, the kind of assets that they are familiar with designing and things like that. I think a lot of these devs are literally going to be building things. You know, models, environments, UI elements, stuff like that is what I'd imagine most of them will be put onto. I assume they've got their own QA as well. So yeah, if that increases the size of the QA department, that's only a good thing as well. There's basically, for Blizz, for World of Warcraft, there's basically no downside to this. For me, I thought it was really good news anyway, but I'm even more excited by the fact that John Haidt has very much identified at last the same problem that I've thought has been WoW's biggest problem for a long time, which is the rollout of content and patch cadence. Like, I identified it as my biggest worry for Shadowlands, the patch cadence, before Shadowlands happened, and I take no pleasure in that turning out to be the major problem with the expansion. I take no pleasure in being right about that one, and I'm really, really glad that they're doing something about it. People say that Proletariat is a really good studio, and they say that Spellbreak was a really good game. I've seen bits and bobs of it a couple of years ago, and it looked pretty good. And when Dragonflight Story sucks, we blame the new devs. Yeah, exactly. Easy. Well, you know, this still has to happen. No judgment until the patch cadence gets better, right? And obviously, they're not going to have much impact on Dragonflight release or anything like that. But going forward, it can only help content come out faster, and that's got to be a good thing. What is your idea on why people got really mad about the 137 fired at Blizz in 219 and put up a huge fuss over it, but literally no one cared when they fired 600 people at Blizzard back in 2012? Fellplague, the reason is because Diablo 3 was coming out, and because Warlords of Draenor was coming out. That's your answer. Everyone was happy with Blizz products at the time, so no one gave a shit. And also, it was Chris Metzen delivering the news. That's your answer. But yeah, they proportionately fired a much bigger percentage of their workforce back in 2012. Yeah, than they did back in 2019? Yeah. Yeah, and there must be people on the workforce at Proletariat who are very, very worried. And my hope is that everyone there still has a job once this goes through. And a job on WoW, man. And, you know, like, the great thing about WoW is that so many people want to work on it. A huge percentage of the people that work for Proletariat Games have probably played and loved WoW. And it's kind of like, in a way, it's kind of like playing for Manchester United, right? Manchester United might only be finishing like 6th in the table these days, but there's still a team that loads of people grew up supporting, and there's always going to be like a romance and this other factor that makes people willing to sign for Manchester United, right? Even though they're not a great team at the moment, there's so many people grew up supporting them and loving them that they're always going to find it easier to get players than other teams doing as well as them, you know? And that's something that always upsets me when people say that the devs at WoW don't care. It's like, I've met so many devs who work for WoW, you know, and you can't speak for management and higher ups and things like that, because who even knows, right? But the devs who actually make the game, every single one I've ever met has had like this major passion for WoW and loved the game long before they ever started working on it. And whenever I've met any dev in any situation, be that at BlizzCon or outside of BlizzCon, just meeting for drinks or something like that, all they've ever wanted to talk about is WoW. To suggest that they don't care about WoW when they work for a company that, you know, objectively pays them less for their skills than other comparable companies would. And they do that because they specifically want to work on WoW. To say that they don't care is just so fucking shit. And that's why I get angry when people say that sometimes. Because these people care so fucking much. It upsets me. Right, let's take a little look at Spellbreak. Here's some Spellbreak gameplay. Now, of course, this doesn't really mean much. Watching this gameplay, it's not like WoW's suddenly going to start looking like this, right? But, you know, it looks kind of Overwatchy to me, honestly. You can see why Blizz noticed them. I guess there are quite a few people in this chat that have played this game. It looks pretty good when I watched people playing on Twitch a while ago. Yeah, so I mean, it's got a look. And obviously, like, you start working for WoW and for Blizz, and you are using WoW's art style. That's just what you do. But that's what any artist can do, right? Like, any artist can work in most other styles. Certainly this style to WoW isn't much of a jump at all. But without doubt, you know, they'll have their own ideas and things and their own inspirations and stuff. And, you know, we might see environments that might not have found their way into WoW otherwise, or, you know, ideas for zones or ideas for armor sets and you know, weapon types and things like that. I mean, it can only be a good thing, right? It can only be a good thing for what we want from WoW, which is a higher turnover of content without losing quality. It's got to be a good thing. There's nothing bad about this deal at all. I even love that they're called Proletariat. Thank you for being called Proletariat. I don't know if this is an Unreal Engine game, but maybe they want some experienced devs with that too. I can't see WoW moving over to Unreal Engine anytime soon. But yeah, I mean, like, just different experience and different viewpoints and different kind of, you know, backgrounds and things is always going to be useful, for sure. For sure. I think this is great news. I couldn't find any of the tweets that were shitting on it, honestly. Yeah, awesome. No, I think it's great. Really good news. And like, the most heartening part of it for me is that it really shows that they appreciate where their problems lie. I mean, after Shadowlands, it's impossible not to appreciate that, right? Impossible not to realize where their problems lie after Shadowlands. But, you know, the signs were there in BFA long before the pandemic. The signs that the patch cadence was dragging on too much were there. So this is a problem that's been there for years. And it won't be an overnight fix by any means. Yeah, that's a really good comment here. This is good news for players. I hope it's also good news for Proletariat. Yeah, me too. I hope that everyone keeps their jobs. I hope that everyone is looking forward to working on WoW. I hope the majority of people in that studio are happy about it. I hope they get a little pay rise, or at least a bonus or something out of the acquisition, right? This announcement is how I found Spellbreak will shut down. Well, most other people as well, yeah. Yeah, I'm really excited by this news, honestly. I wasn't as excited by it at first because, like, the comments on the tweet were so down on it and taking the piss so much. But, you know, now I've had a bit of time to think about it. WoW has sucked for 3 years. It's too late to bring folks back. Well, that's me told. Sorry, everyone. Too late. Yeah, that person's already pre-purchased Dragonflight. You know it. I know it. There's also potential for 1 or 2 of these devs to be put on the survival game. Yeah, I guess so. I mean, you know, people are always getting moved from team to team, for sure. Yeah. It does sound that at the moment they just want more hands on WoW. But, you know, it takes a long time to learn the tools and stuff and to get used to working on a new game and what have you. So it's not gonna help Dragonflight be released any quicker. But you'd like to think it would result in 10.1 being released quicker, right? It's not going to have any impact on the launch of Dragonflight, and very, very little impact on the content that is in Dragonflight at launch, you'd have imagined. But you'd like to think that 10.1 might come a little bit quicker. 10.2 for sure. And yeah, I mean, if John Haidt is to be believed, we are looking at a brave, new, exciting world of faster content rollout for WoW. And I, for one, would be very happy with that. Thank you, Mike Ybarra. Hey, Taliesin. Don't mention it. A brave new world indeed.